Welcome everyone. My name is CJ Eason and I am the job doctor. And this is the resume writing workshop. I hope you are excited and ready to go. I want you to get your pen and your paper handy because I'm going to give out lots of information on how you can write a better resume. Okay, so get your pen and paper handy because I believe by the end of this workshop, you should be able to write a resume in 5 minutes. Okay, so let's get started. The topics that we're going to talk about today include okay, we're going to take a glance at our resume and we're going to make sure that we have an effective resume. We're also going to learn 4 strategies to improve our resumes as well. And I'm going to give you some resources as well. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is we want to think about the applicant tracking database. And what is an applicant tracking database? An applicant tracking database is where your resume goes. Whenever you apply for a position with a company, your resume is going into a database. And if you don't have the right keywords and the right information in your resume, it's very possible that you will get overlooked for that job opportunity. So let's take a glance at our resume, okay? Let's move on to talk about the strategies that you can use to improve your resume. What can you do to improve your resume? Well, the first thing that you can do to improve your resume is to think about how long does it take for a recruiter to review your resume. So I'm going to ask some of the people in the chat. We've got about 800 people that have logged on today for this workshop. And I'm going to ask you a question. How long do you think it takes for a recruiter to review your resume? Some people are saying 5 minutes. Some people are saying 10 minutes. Some people are saying 30 minutes. Absolutely not at all. I'm a recruiter as well. And it actually takes 6 to 10 seconds to review a resume. So that means that you, as a job seeker, you have 6 to 10 seconds to make a great first impression. And the way that you want to make that great first impression is you want to have a well-written resume. So I want you to look at your resume right now as we're in this workshop and think about it. Do you feel like your resume is really grabbing the attention of the recruiter that's reviewing it? So I want you to look at the screen as well. Applicant tracking database, like I said before, it is a type of database that sorts through the resumes. Okay, so when you apply for a position on CareerBuilder or ZipRecruiter or MichiganHire.com or even some companies' websites, your resume goes into an applicant tracking database. And what happens is just like when you're on Google, okay, I'll give you an example to make it a little bit more easier for you. When you go on Google and you type in Mexican restaurant in my neighborhood, okay, or Mexican restaurant near me, you're going to get the restaurants that have that information on their website. Mexican restaurant in the area that you're in. And that's the same way that an applicant tracking database works as well. If a recruiter goes into their applicant tracking database and they type in the keywords that are important to the position that they have available, and they see that you don't have any of those keywords listed, then your resume is not going to appear for them. Okay, so that means that you want to look at the job description and you want to make sure that you tailor your resume to meet the qualifications of the position that you're applying for. It's very simple, just like that. Okay. So here are a few tips to help you to make sure that your resume makes it through the applicant tracking database and right into the hands of the recruiter. Okay. You first want to make sure that you're uploading your resume, either a PDF file or a readable document file, okay? I'm going to give you some details later on about how you can use Google Docs to upload your resume and create your resume as well. But you want to make sure that it's a file that they can read as well, okay? You want to keep your format very simple. I remember years ago when I was applying for a position years ago, it said, you know, an employer said, do not include any fancy fonts or graphics or tables or columns. And what happens is the applicant tracking database cannot read a lot of bullet points or columns or graphics or anything that can be considered to be difficult for the system to read. So you don't want your resume to get kicked out because you're trying to be fancy. So when you're applying for a position online, use a very basic and simple resume format, okay? And again, I'm going to say this throughout the entire broadcast tonight, okay? I'm going to say, make sure that you tailor your resume to the job description and use the keywords and relevant information to the position that you're applying for. If you're applying for an executive chef, I don't need to know that you did production work years ago. I don't need to know that. I need to make sure that you are the candidate for the position that I am applying for. And another thing you want to do is you want to avoid headers and footers, okay? Headers and footers. When you put that information inside of a header, your contact information, again, the applicant tracking system cannot read a header and footer, okay? So do not put any of that information in there, okay? So now that we understand exactly how the applicant tracking database works, let's get into writing a better resume, okay? So we're going to do a really quick challenge, okay? I am going to show you a job description. Then I'm going to show you some resumes, okay? And then I want you to decide really quickly. Remember, I told you, you don't have 5 to 10 minutes to review a resume as a recruiter. You have 6 to 10 seconds. So let's just say that you are a recruiter that has a lot of resumes that have come to you today and you need to review them before lunch. You've only got 6 to 10 seconds, okay? So let's look at this job description. Here's the job description here. I want you to read the job description. Keep this description in mind as we are reviewing these 6 resumes, okay? And I want you to look at the screen and I want you to determine if these resumes are exactly what you're looking for this position here. So you see the position, it is a sales position. You see that you're looking for someone that's motivated, someone that is interested in expanding new markets, or they have the experience for that. They can meet and exceed different sales goals. They have customer service skills as well as professionalism. Alrighty, let's get ready. Remember, yes or no on these resumes in 6 to 10 seconds. That's all I'm going to give you. First resume, it's Asha's resume. Write down yes or no. We've only got a couple seconds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we're gone. Next resume, Adam's resume. Look at Adam's resume. What is the first impression that you're getting from Adam's resume? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's all you've got. Next resume, Titus resume. What do you get the impression of Titus? Remember the job description that we had there. We've got to move on really fast because we have got to get to lunch. And this is how recruiters look at your resume as well. Next resume, Jason. Again, does Jason meet the qualifications of what you are hiring for? Remember that job description. That is exactly how recruiters are looking at your resume right now. So if you've submitted your resume somewhere, this is how they're looking at your resume. Lena, you only got a couple seconds. Look at Lena's resume. There you go. We're moving on. And last, Abram's resume. 6 seconds, really quickly. What is his impression? The impression that you have of him, yes or no? And now we're on. And that's exactly how it works. I want you to think about this, okay? When I'm when I'm receiving resumes from candidates for positions, I don't have all day to look at your resume. No recruiter, no human resource manager has all day to look at your resume. What they do have is they have the time to make sure that you are the candidate that they're looking for. And so it's your job, everyone. It's your job to make sure that you have these 4 strategies down packed to improve your resume. I hope you have your pen and paper handy because we are going to get into it right this moment. We're going to do 4 things. The 4 tips right here for improving your resume is choose a professional format. 2, highlight your skills and your accomplishments. 3, cite specific examples and measurable details. And 4, tailor your resume to the job description. So let's get into it right now, okay? Today we need to focus on these 4 factors so that you can write a resume in what I told you, 5 minutes. Again, keep listening. Write down these notes because I'm telling you, I'm going to show you by the end of this workshop how you can write a resume in 5 minutes. Alrighty, We're going to start right now talking about formats. There's lots and lots of different kinds of formats that are available. You have your traditional formats, you have your creative formats. So a format really is important, because you want to make sure that your resume is professional, but you also want to make sure that you have the proper structure, okay? So a traditional format, as you're looking here on the left, Asha's resume on the left has a standard white background and a classic font and an organizational structure that is classic. But Abram's resume is a less traditional design and format, and this resume is used more for maybe a creative type of position that you're applying for. But traditionally, most people have a standard traditional resume, okay? So as you saw in the quick glance activity that we did before, there are many different types of resume styles. But as we review these resumes right now, you will see and begin to start determining which type of resume style that you want to have for your resume, okay? And having a well-designed resume that is free of errors is extremely important to a hiring manager. What do I mean when I say free of errors? Well, the most common mistake that I see whenever someone submits a resume is it's not properly formatted, and there's tons of spelling errors, okay? So here are some of the key attributes that will make your resume better, okay? Be sure to include wide margins and lots of white space. Look at the screen here, okay? White space is the space on the page that isn't filled with text or graphics, okay? So make it easy for me to read your resume. Use simple, readable language. Use a clear header, okay? And also choose the right font. I don't know how many times I've seen a resume and people have tried to write the resume in a fancy format or a fancy font. Don't do it. Stick to Arial and Time Roman. Again, I told you to keep it simple, okay? Now, let's look at Jason's resume here. Here is a resume that is, having a lot of content and having a lot of information is not always better, okay? You want to have some white space on your resume. Look at how clustered and how illegible this resume is, because it has a lot of content on it. You don't need to put every single position that you have on your resume. You need to put the information that's related to the position that you are applying for. Remember that. If it's not related to the job that you are applying for, do not put it on your resume. Okay? Relevant information only. The next thing, you see this resume has information about your Twitter and your Instagram. You don't want to put your Twitter or your Instagram on your resume or any social media address if you're not putting professional information on that Twitter or Instagram. If you have not established your brand, so if you're a customer service manager and if you're not posting information on Twitter or Instagram about customer related topics or customer service related topics, do not put this information on your resume. Do not give recruiters an opportunity to eliminate you. So usually individuals that will put their social media is someone who may be a graphic designer or you're a writer or you're an artist and you have a portfolio or you have established a brand for yourself, okay? And the most notable challenge that many people have when they're writing a resume is they just put stuff on their resume. They put anything on their resume. Again, I don't need to know about your fantasy football league if it has nothing to do with the position that you're applying for. So make sure that you are putting information on your resume that is valid and it has something to do with the actual position that you are applying for right now. Let's look at the next resume, okay? Adam's resume. On the other hand, it's easier to read this resume. It has a lot of white space, but it's not easy for you to read. And it does not include any details about the responsibilities and accomplishments at his previous job. Again, I can't guess what you did at your last employer. So what you have to do is you have to give detailed information to highlight your responsibilities that you've did at that company, the projects that you've did at that company, and also provide me with measurable accomplishments so I can understand more about how you're going to be a better candidate for our company, okay? Again, if you have some skills that are related to the position, okay, maybe that was a volunteer opportunity, certificates or awards that you've received, volunteer work, a part-time job, maybe continuing education classes that you should add to your resume, that is what I want to see, okay? That is what recruiters want to see on your resume, all right? Remember, your objective, the objective has something to do with what you want. It's not what I want. So remove the objective from your resume altogether and replace it with a career summary. If you're not familiar with what a career summary is, I strongly suggest that after this class, you look up what a career summary is. It tells me where you've been and what you have been doing. This next resume here, you will also see that this gentleman has a photo. Photos are something that some countries do require on your resume, but not here in the United States, okay? Not here in the United States. It's not always required that you include your photo, but some other countries like South Africa and Europe and South America, they do ask for you to have a photo on your resume, but that's not always, that's not important here in the United States. It's about your skills. But if you had more of a creative resume and you wanted to include your photo, when I say a creative resume, maybe you are an actor or maybe you are someone that has to show your image, maybe a brand ambassador, then it would make sense for you to have a resume that includes your photo. Another mistake that job seekers make, and I cannot say this enough, is typos. As you were looking at the screen, did you see the typo? Now, I want you to look at your resume, and did you see the typos on your resume? Have someone else look at your resume and point out those typos or those grammatical errors that you've made, those punctuation errors. Please, I ask you, I strongly suggest that you have someone else look at your resume and see what kind of changes you should make. It's it doesn't always have to be a professional. It could be a friend that looks at your resume and helps you to write a better resume or to see a lot of the mistakes that you may have, okay? All right, the next thing, remember I told you that you want to make sure that you create a resume using the proper format, okay? So that could be a Word doc, or you can use Google. You can use Google Docs, okay? Use Google Docs to create a resume using their templates. Remember I told you 5 minutes. You can write a resume in 5 minutes. Why? Because Google has pre-built Google resume templates that are already done for you. So all you have to do is choose the right template. They have different patterns and they have the guides already set up, the design elements, the formatting. Everything is already there for you, and Google Docs offers these free professional templates to you for absolutely free. The layout, the font, the colors, everything is already there for you. All you have to do is input your basic information on your resume, your contact information, your skills, your experience and your education, as well as your accomplishments and any projects you've completed on your last employment and your last positions, and it's right there in the Google Docs. Now, the most important part about this is that you can access your Google Docs from your cell phone, your tablet, your laptop, anywhere. So at the end of this workshop, I strongly want you to set up a Google Docs account, look at the Google Docs templates, choose the ones that best fit your skills, okay? And I want you to set yourself up a easy and simple Google Doc resume. How many times have you been out and about, everyone, and you wanted to send your resume to a company, but you couldn't send your resume to that company because you didn't have a resume with you? If you had your resume in your Google Docs, then you could customize that resume really quickly and you could send it right over to that company, and it would be just that simple. Remember, I said you can write a resume in 5 minutes. 5 simple minutes. You create a new doc, you choose a template, and you put your information inside of the pre-designed template. You can write a resume in 5 minutes, everyone. Your education, your contact information, your skills, and your work experience are all there. So at the end of this class, I want you to set up a Google Docs, everyone. Alrighty, I hope you're enjoying this because we are moving on to the second phase. The second phase is highlight your skills and your accomplishments. Again, I'm going to say highlight your skills and your accomplishments. That is very, very important, okay? Your resume is not a comprehensive list of all the jobs that you've ever had, okay? I'm going to say this to you again. It's about the position that you're applying for, okay? It's not about what you did before. So relevant information should be on your resume only. Your most recent work experience or educational experience is what we care about as recruiters, okay? So don't be afraid to eliminate jobs from your resume and then you have a work gap. It's fine because there are different types of resume formats that are available, okay? There's functional resumes, chronological resumes, educational resumes. There's a variety of different types of formats that are available, and that will help you to create a better resume. So if you have some questions about, the different types of resume formats, we do have another class that you can sign up for by going to michiganhire.com, and it's actually called the 5-minute resume class. Now, on to that. So eliminate the jobs from your resume that are not relevant to the position that you're applying for. You need to highlight the skills and accomplishments that you have for the position that you're applying for. At the same time, if you've done other activities like part-time jobs or volunteer work that is closely related to the position that you're applying for, you want to include those on your resume, okay? Include that information on your resume. If you need to account for the work history gaps, you can always volunteer. I cannot strongly suggest any more to job seekers that volunteering is a great way to build skills on your resume. And when I say volunteering, if you're not applying for a position to be a person that packs boxes, then that's not the position that you should be applying for. If you are a new CDLA driver and you've never driven a truck for a company before, then go to an organization that needs a CDLA driver and get that experience there. If you are a new social media marketing graduate from college and you don't have any experience doing any social media marketing for a company, find you a social media marketing volunteer opportunity with a nonprofit organization. If you are a person that has just graduated with an accounting degree, but you don't have any relevant experience, go find an opportunity for you to volunteer to be an accountant. When you volunteer anywhere, you want to volunteer for a position that will allow you to build the skills that you can add to your resume. So that is how you can take care of gaps in your resume. All right, good job. Next, we're going to do another challenge, okay? We're going to do another challenge. This time, I want you to look at the screen and I want you to read this job description and I want you to tell me which positions actually connect to the sales representative. So the positions are on the left side and the job description is on the right. So read the job description. I'll give you a couple seconds. And then I want you to tell me which positions on the left relate to this position. Okay, and as you're looking at this job description, I want you to think about that. What measurable skills and specific projects could this position apply to that are relevant to the position here? All right, let's go on. So which jobs did you include? Which ones did you decide to leave off the list and which ones did you decide to keep on the list? Okay. For a wait staff position, you may have a variety of different skills that you do. You're upselling customers, so that's related to sales for sure. You may be telling customers about the new dessert. That is, again, upselling to customers. That's a part of sales. As a cashier, you're likely to engage with customers for a majority of your workday, a skill important to a sales representative position. So again, you can't take cashier off. And let's say that you're raising money as a volunteer. That experience can be viewed as being very similar to sales as well. As a bank teller, you have to learn the details of every product at the bank, and then you have to provide that information to customers. That is the same as being a sales representative. And a babysitter job showcases the responsibilities, and they also show that you know how to multitask. And then what about a freelance blogger? A freelance blogger actually is required to negotiate their own rates so that they can publish their blog or they can do business with clients. So negotiation skills is a big part of any sales position. So looking at the job description, you can literally apply all of these positions to a sales representative position. Again, what I said is look at your resume, okay? You should look at your resume and determine how you can apply those skills that you have to a position that you are applying for. The main point of this exercise was to show you that you can choose to include or exclude any job depending on the situation, which is key to how you describe the job on your resume, okay? How you highlight your responsibilities, how you highlight the skills that you have accomplished in that position. And if it's not relevant, then remove it from your resume. All right? Good job. I want you to check out your resume later and associate those to the different types of positions that you're applying for. So many people need to take time off from their work, and a lot of times they have gaps in their resume. Again, I've said to you, highlighting your volunteer work that you've did or any education that you've acquired. If you're off, like many people were off during the pandemic and they had decided to continue education, you should add those courses to your degree, or to your resume. I do apologize. You should add those courses to your resume. If you had to take off due to an economic turndown, or maybe you had to take care of a loved one, then you can explain that time in a functional resume format. Okay, you can explain the employment history that you've had. You can explain your short gap that you've had in between the time of employment. That is a great way for you to be able to show that, this is what I've been doing and this is where I've been. Again, a lot of people, when they're laid off, they consider professional development courses, continuing education courses. Google has plenty of continuing education courses, and there's lots of courses that can help you to improve your resume. So if you have some downtime, think about taking on some new courses or earning a certificate of some sort, and you can add that to your resume. Think about your resume, everyone. Now let's move on to number 3. We've did number 1, which is we've talked about resume formats. We've did number 2. We've talked about how to highlight your skills and your accomplishments. Now we're on to citing specific examples and measurable goals on your resume. Okay, this is very, very important in writing a good, solid description of who you are and what you can do for a company. What do I mean when I say citing specific examples and measurable goals? I mean, tell the employer what you've did in your previous employment. Describe the projects that you've worked on, improvements that you've made at the company, processes that you've developed, and goals that you have attained at that company. A lot of times people just write, I was a sales representative, and then that's it. There's no information about what you did. Well, I need some measurable details, whatever possible to quantify you as the person that I want to hire. Did you increase sales at the company? What did you do? How many people did you manage? That's important. You need to put that information down on your resume. Okay, so let's put this into practice with another challenge. Okay, I'm going to show you I'm going to show you an example of work experience that you might include on your resume. For example, list the kinds of measurable details and specific examples that you might include if this was your resume. For this example, the sales representative position, you might include descriptions like managed a team, trained new employees, ran meetings effectively, and sold more than your sales target. But how much do these descriptions really make you stand out to employers if you don't put anything there? You know, how this is not going to do anything for you. So look at the description here, okay? You're a team lead at a big box store, and these are the only things that you said on your resume. That's not enough information, right? It's not enough details. But you can change this, okay? You can change this. Look at example 1. Example 1, okay, you've just listed some very basic details, but instead of managed a team, you might say, I managed a team of 8 employees. Well, now I might be interested in hiring someone that has managed a team of 8 employees, okay? From new hires to 15-year company employees. Now, that sounds like you have the ability to work with new hires, and you also have the ability to work with seasoned professionals. That sounds like a good skill. I would like to know that versus managed teams. You might say that you have trained 15 new employees in 2 years. Well, that is that's a really good goal, and that's also a very good piece of information that I want to know as well. You might specifically say that you held weekly team meetings and there were 20 people typically in attendance of that meeting as well. Again, I want to know that, because maybe I only want you to maintain 5 employees, but look here, you can maintain 20 employees in a meeting. That's a very effective skill to have. Maybe you hit sales targets, okay? And you want to specifically say that I exceeded those sales expectations for the company by 20%. So you want to add specific examples and measurable details to your resume. Look at your resume, everyone. I've got 1,500 people in this workshop now. Thanks a lot for the people that have just come in. But look at your resume right now. Do you have that on your resume? If you don't have that information on your resume, then that could be a problem. That could totally be a problem for your resume. So if you're not listing specific examples and specific goals, that can be a problem. Let's try another example here for a volunteer. Remember, I said volunteering for a specific position is very, very important. So this volunteer opportunity here, you see the person just listed, they were a volunteer, they served meals to shelter residents, and they organized holiday events. Not enough information, right? Let's look at the second one here. You're going to look at the basic one on the left, and on the right, I've given some more details here. I've said that I've served meals to 200 residents, did it within 6 months every week. I raised $2,000 raised $2,000 from local businesses, and I helped out to organize holiday parties. So I put more information there. I'm really an event planner. I might even be a fundraiser, not just a volunteer, but I could actually change that title from volunteer to maybe volunteer fundraiser or fundraising coordinator. The possibilities are endless when you are volunteering. Remember to volunteer for a position that is going to help boost your resume, okay? The next thing, transferable skills. I can't say this enough. I say this to people every single day. I say that you want to add transferable skills to your resume. If you're a person that has been out of the workforce for quite some time, or you're a person that's retired or transitioning, a transferable skill can be a benefit to 99% of the employers that are hiring right this moment. Organizational skills, communication, problem-solving skills are all examples of transferable skills that many companies are looking for. So in your resume, you can make a case that you are a person that has these transferable skills, and you can apply those transferable skills to the actual position. So let's say you decide to pursue a career in IT, starting as a support technician. Maybe you have experience working in the service industry of a beauty salon. So think about which skills you use in your job that you can include in your resume to show that you have qualifications despite maybe not having any IT experience. You have managed daily tasks, and so you can show that you can plan and organize a schedule. You've dealt with customers all day long and that have different needs. So that means that you have active listening skills, you have multitasking skills on your skill set. That's important. And you had to be a manager and take care of a lot of the responsibilities in the shop. That means that you have leadership skills and ability to motivate others to complete shared goals if you're a manager as well. These are skills that you can add to your resume that can show an employer that you have transferable skills. So that means that if you have a position at one company that's totally not related to the position you're applying for, you can look at that experience that you've had at another company and maybe be able to transfer those skills over to a new position. I want you to think about what you've been doing, everyone, in your career, and I want you to see if you can transfer those skills to another career. All right? Last but not least, we're almost there because I told you you're going to write a resume in 5 minutes. I'm going to guarantee you that you can write a resume in 5 minutes if you follow these skills. Now we're on to tailoring your resume, okay? Tailor your resume. I cannot say this one enough either, okay? Earlier we discussed how businesses use an applicant tracking database to scan through the resumes, and if they don't see the keywords that are related to the position that they're applying for, you're never going to pop up on the screen. You're never going to come before them. So if you're submitting your resume and you're thinking, I'm going to tell you this right now, if you're thinking that the recruiter is reviewing every single resume, you're wrong. What they're doing is they're typing in the description or the keywords that are related to the position that they are hiring for. So we're going to look at this. We're going to do another challenge, okay? So let's do another challenge. I want you to read this job description, okay? I want you to read it really clearly. This is the same one from earlier, okay? And I want you to jot down a few words from the job description that you would incorporate into your resume if you were applying for this sales position. This is the job description, okay? Pay attention to the action words, industry phrases, and other important terms that you see in the job description, okay? Look at the job description, everyone, because this is what you're going to use. This is the same format that you're going to use to write your own resume, okay? So you want to include specific experience that illustrate how you did this task in a previous job, okay? Look at characteristics or skills that are mentioned in the job descriptions when you're applying for a company, and you want to add that to your resume, okay? Action words, industry phrases. I'm going to say it again. Important terms from the job description. Now, I'm going to highlight which ones you should have picked. You ready? Let's go. Look at it, okay? What are some of the words that you would incorporate in your resume? They're right there. I hope that you chose these words too, everybody. I hope that you chose these words. You might include characteristics like responsible and motivated. Those are important. Companies want to know, what did you do? Were you motivated? Were you responsible for anything, or were you just the person that was working there? Okay. You might need to identify sales that you've made. Okay. You might need to show that you've delivered sales presentations. These are keywords. I've highlighted them for you. Okay. I've highlighted them for you. And this is how you're supposed to look at the job descriptions when you are applying for a position as well. Everyone, I cannot tell you this enough. You want to use the greatest cheat sheet that I've ever seen is the job description that a company has created for you. That is the greatest cheat sheet for you, and that allows you to write that 5-minute resume. Again, we've got another course. It's called the 5-minute resume. If you're interested, you can go to Michigan Hired. You can sign up for that 5-minute course, and you can take that 5-minute course, and we'll really get into a little bit more into how to write a better resume if you're interested in taking that course. But what did we learn today? Well, we've learned a lot of things today in this workshop. We've got 1,500 people that are online right now. I am so excited that you all have been here because you learned 4 strategies to improve your resume right now, okay? And what were those 4 strategies that you learned to improve your resume? You learned about resume formatting, okay? Try to achieve the balance on your resume. Try to choose the right format. There's functional resume formats, chronological, there's educationals. Use the templates that are on Google Docs. Don't forget, use those templates. The next thing we learned about highlight your skills and experience. Include only the most relevant information and recent experience to the position that you're applying for. Cite examples and measurable goals. Be clear and completely explain what you did at a company, okay? And tailor your resume to use the words from the job description to impress the employer, but also to get through the applicant tracking database. You can use these strategies right now. Everyone, take your screen, take your phone, do a screenshot, take your time, and later I want you to write a better resume in Google Docs. Screenshot it right now, because I've got the next thing I'm going to tell you about is I want you, when you create your resume, okay, I want you to keep a list of all of your work experience that you've had. Why do I want you to keep a list of your work experience that you've had? Because I want you to use Google Docs to save that information so that when you are applying for a position, you don't have to keep writing your work experience over and over and over and over again. I said, when you're out and about and you're at a company and they say, well, do you have a resume? Can you give me your resume? You don't need to go home to get your resume. All you need to do is go to your Google Sheet. Okay, you go to your Google Sheet and you've already got a list of all of the positions that you've ever had. So now all you have to do is go on your Google Sheet and you can write down, you can include in your resume that's in Google Docs the positions that you have accomplished and that you have held. But here's one of the things that many job seekers don't do is they don't create a Google Sheet spreadsheet to track where they've applied for. Why are you applying for positions and you have no idea where you're applying to? So when a company calls you on the phone and they say, hey, I'm calling from ABC company, and you apply for a position, you're not going to know that you applied for that company because you're not able to pull up on your Google Sheet tracking who you applied to. Every time you apply for a position, everyone, I want you to add it to your Google Sheet. It's a Google spreadsheet that you can pull up on your phone, your tablet, your laptop, anywhere that you want to pull it up. And it allows you to write down the name, put the name of the company, the position that you apply for, the salary, where the company is located. For people who have been scammed by people calling you out of random saying that you apply for a position and you're like, I didn't apply for that company. This is another way for you to make sure that you actually apply for that company. You can look on your spreadsheet and you can say, no, I didn't submit a resume to you. I don't see you on my list anywhere. Get in the habit, everyone, of putting the positions that you've applied for on your Google spreadsheet. I cannot say this enough to you. And then also too, say what you did. Create a column that says, I've started the interview process, or I just submitted my application, or I was scheduled for an interview on this date, and I sent a follow-up on this date, or I sent a thank you note this date. Get in the habit of tracking what you're doing. This is just like work. So if you're spending 8 hours looking for a job online, you need to put this information on your Google Sheet, okay? Good job. Let's go to the next one. I want you to use Google Docs use Google Slides to create yourself a resume, a website resume, okay? This is a great way if you're a person that's maybe in graphic design or art, or even if you're just a regular candidate that wants to share your resume with employers online, you can use Google Slides, okay? Look at the screen, use Google Slides. and create a basic resume resume website. I apologize. And that is a great way to share your resume with recruiters on social media, on Twitter, TikTok, different places like that. If you want to know more about how to create your own resume website, again, we have another workshop. It's called the 5-Minute Resume Writing Workshop. You can sign up for it on michiganhire.com, and you can learn how to create your own resume website. Okay? If you want to take it to the next level, that's how you take your job search to the next level. If you want to reach out to recruiters and show them that you are savvy and that you are trendy and that you're keeping up with the times and that you have a dynamic resume that they can read online, that is a way to get an interview by creating yourself a resume on Google Slides. That is an excellent way. Next thing. We reviewed today. Let's just review really, really quickly, okay? Here are a few ways to move forward in this process right now so that you can write that 5-minute resume. Again, I said to you, 5 minutes. You can write a resume in 5 minutes if you just pay attention to these tasks and these strategies that I've given you, okay? Review the possible templates that you can use on Google Docs right now. Choose one that suits your industry experience and style. Examine your current resume and find places to include specific examples and measurable details, and create a running list of experience that you have so that you can tailor your resume each time you apply for a position. You guys, please do not send any more generic resumes to recruiters. That's why you're not getting a call back, okay? Make sure that you're sending a resume that is geared to the position that you are applying for. I hope that you have enjoyed this workshop. Again, I am CJ Eason, the Job Doctor. I appreciate you all for attending the Improve Your Resume and Practical Strategies workshop. This was 60 minutes of hardcore, in-your-face, trendy, and strategic exercises that you could do right now to create a 5-minute resume. If you enjoyed this workshop, everybody, if you enjoyed this workshop, go ahead and send your feedback to Google, okay? Send your feedback to Google. Don't forget, we do have the 60-minute 5-minute resume workshop. The 5-minute resume workshop, you can go to michiganhire.com, sign up for the resume writing workshop, and learn how to write a better resume in 5 minutes. If you want our latest book that has just come out, everybody, I want you to read this book. If you're looking for a job right now, read this book. You can go to michiganhire.com. If you want this free book right now, go to michiganhire.com and you can get our new book. Hey, there are jobs that are available right this moment, everyone, and I want you to go to michiganhire.com and apply for those jobs. It's really simple. It's really easy. You can also click on the link to download our new book. You can get resume writing tips. You can get information on how to write a cover letter, things that I've discussed today in this workshop. You can discover, read, and learn for yourself. This has been a powerful, I want to thank all 1,500 people that came on today. This has been exciting. I see people in the chat. They're talking, they're sharing information. This has been wonderful. You guys have a great day today. And again, I am CJ Eason, the Job Doctor. Go to michiganhire.com if you want to learn how to write a better resume and to find some jobs that are available right now. Thanks a lot for watching, everyone.